Let's start this again so we can actually highlight without audio being put in the middle of it and having my entire video censored. Okay. Casting a team fight 101. We can think about the context of the situation, and then we're gonna watch the clip, and then we're gonna review how it actually commentated. So, Vega, deep inside the base. Visually, you're gonna be saying they're on the defense. Like, they're back at their tier 4 towers, so most of your words you may be crafting around Vega are on the defense. Now, Na'Vi have 5 heroes ready to go. All ultimates up apart from Morphling, who's doing a split push. So, how would you structure this? Let's watch the fight unfold, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Okay, and we'll call that the end of the mark of the team fight. Okay, so there were a lot of things that happened there. There's going to be a longer analysis more than anything else. So we go back. So what was the timer I said? It was 29. Before that, it was like 28 something. Yeah, I forgot my own fucking timer. Okay, so everyone back up, back up, back up. Alright, it's 29:15. Okay. Vega in defensive position. Leading into this fight, there are a couple of things I would focus on. And when you're actually looking to actually cast a fight, you want to have a few key pointers. So the key pointer for Vega right now is the fact that Morphling Replicate is inside the base. This is the way the Morphling gets back. His TP is on cooldown, and he needs to come back to the base of this Replicate. So killing off the Replicate is important. Now, Na'Vi don't know this. Another thing to keep in mind, so don't blow it out of the water. Na'Vi, they do initiate a lot in this fight on actually killing off the Replicate. Maybe they think it's the real Mirana, and you could probably reference a Vision game then saying, well, do they actually see the Mirana in the back lines? Like, if I pause for a second. So the answer is no. They don't see Mirana in the back lines. These are all filler material stuff that you can have leading into the team fight. Where is the Vision on the high ground? Does it exist? Dire have an Observer Ward. Where is the Radiant Observer Ward? These are things which you can refer to in the fight. You could also refer to the counter vision that Vega are currently running with their own Dire Observer Ward, that, like the Sentry Ward, which is down. Small things, but it's things you can look into. So that's your critical part from Vega. Vega, it's all about getting the Morphling back. He is your big fighter. Now, Na'Vi is where you probably put the majority of your focus looking at the team fight. So you want to craft your commentary around Chronosphere. This is what you always do when you have a faceless void in the game. His Chronosphere is going to win the game. And because we've already watched it, of course, we're casting from the armchair of we already know what's going to happen, right? But it's just the critical things you look at. So Faceless Void Chrono, how many people do you get in there and how much damage can be done to those people inside the chrono. So positioning is what it's all about. So chronosphere will happen. You then want to talk about who is taking damage inside the chronosphere. Who is that focused target that Na'Vi has chosen? They get a lot of different damage things. So then you want to transition your fight. So we'll move forward. So we'll see the fight unfold. Let's go at like 0.5. So Hoofstomp comes in. This is what we're talking about, like when you can talk about like, okay, they're initiating in on a replicate. While Na'Vi may not know about this, like you blink Hoofstomp, you see the amount of damage it takes, they're probably cottoning on to the fact that this is actually not the real Mirana. Swap. Critical ability. Dendi gets swapped a very short distance, but it's swapped into arrow. There's your first highlight play. This is, like, coordination plays always make for the most entertaining things to commentate. So, swap into arrow, it's showing synergy, it's showing Vega know what they want to do, and they're trying to punish a certain positional error, if you call this a positional error. So you start with this saying, like, so your team fight will begin with, nah, Vega are amazing, they've just started this. Not saying that's the words you use, I'm just saying this is the mindset you want. So Vega initiate fight with swap on Dendi. Fight continues. Storm Wall goes down. Chrono goes up. Critical moment. Stunned. 4 heroes caught inside the Chrono. You now have a focal point that will dictate the course of the fight. Where is the positioning of everybody else? Roger and Seneko in really close. Seneko already knew where this fight was going to go on. He was predicting it from the very beginning. The storm is up. Probably didn't need the wall on this, but it doesn't matter. He thought he was starting this. Crystallize just went the next level. So what do you do at this point? You see the damage, Morphling and Vengeful Spirit are the closest. So you can turn your attention from... Well, okay, so the thread I took with this storyline was the Morphling. So Morphling was up on top. Morphling needs to come back to win this fight for Vega. Initiation comes from the Vengeful Spirit as well as the Mirana. Then Morphling arrives for the fight. What happens instantly? You lock down Vega. Na'Vi are now the heroes because that one person that you turned into the hero for Vega is trapped inside of a chronosphere at the mercy of the Storm of Seneko and about to be pummeled by Roger's impetus. This is what you focus on in this fight. So the fight continues. The damage is being done. You almost turn this now down into a counter. Side mentioned the fact that Broodmother Aegis popped. The initiation worked well for Vega. But you do this quickly and move back to the focal point, which is Chronosphere targets and the Morphling, who is now insanely low. No Lincoln Sphere to protect him. And he's only got 5-1 charges. Critical thing. Morphling dies. Na'Vi now have Dendi back from the Aegis the Immortal, and Morphling is down. Everything's coming up Na'Vi. Move to your next point. Vengeful Spirit goes down, but this doesn't matter. What you now have is your second Teamfight controller. So you ignore the fact that General popped his Stampede during the fight. This, again, is one of those side stories that you don't really need. What you get is the Chrono control locked Vega in position. They lost 2 critical heroes in that, and all they got back was an Aegis the Immortal. General has now just taken this to Ravage levels. He just got a perfect 2-man stun on the Doom and the Nine Stalker. 2 heroes who have had no influence in this fight whatsoever. Doom still even has Doom. So this can maybe now be your next focal point. General locks up Slayer. Can he get Doom off to actually help control in this fight? Question mark. This would be where I would probably go with it. General backs off. Crystallize comes in. Next critical moment. Moonlight Shadow is there. Fantastic. Now, Vega are hiding. But the counter is up. This is when you can praise the support. Dust gets triggered. So with the Dust getting triggered by what I believe is a Disruptor, hence his empty item slot, they are now able to see both Slayer, Afterlife, but it doesn't hit the Mirana. This now means Crystallize is enabled. Push through in the fight. The Doom. Next thing you can go on. He's just doomed up Dendi, who's come back from the dead. Dendi's going to retreat. Now you turn the focus of the fight into Vega can now be aggressive. They don't have the damage while Dendi is doomed. Faceless Void is alone. And visibly, you can show that as well with the camera angle. You show the tier 4 towers, 3 heroes ready to turn under the cover of Moonlight Shadow, and the freshly brought back Morphling. Vega want to turn the momentum. So you switch the balance now to Vega looking to actually attack. Na'Vi were aggressive though, using everything they had. This is all lost now. Now it's Vega turn. And this is where you ride the roller coaster of the cast. First it's Na'Vi, now it's Vega. Then it can come back being to Na'Vi. That's why I'm kind of actually happy we got this longer team fight. So Crystallize, Bales. This, like that time walk right there, that emphasizes your point even more. Na'Vi want to retreat. Problem is, Enchantress just got silenced and voided. She is in harm's way inside the territory, so she could be your next focus target. So they're coming out. It's the same way as like when Na'Vi initiated in on Vega. You're thinking about who is Vega trying to kill off here. This is an exit kill. Na'Vi are leaving the base. Vega wants something to justify the buyback from the Morphling. This is where your mindset can move. So the buyback comes. Morphling TPs forward. Disruptor holds them back for the moment. So that's when you can throw doubt into Vega's chances of actually doing this. So everything's looking good. Like Morphling is back into the world of the living. You've got Vega coming out of the base, but they get locked up inside the wall. So you have that hesitation of if Vega is going to be able to actually chase Na'Vi. This allows you a smoother transition. So if you just went, Vega's coming out, Na'Vi's turning it around, you've literally just slapped someone with a cold fish. They'll reel back and get whiplash because they don't know why you're throwing them in so many different ways, and then you seem fake. You seem like, okay, now you're just hyping Vega because you want to hype Vega. No, you let the balance go, and you actually call out the critical things that turn the fights, which means you have to look for this kind of stuff. So, the wall from Seneko, critical moment to then help you turn. General turns into the engagement. This happens at the same time as Faceless Void got initiated on. So General, you can run multiple parts of the storyline now. Is General sacrificing himself when he jumps in here? Is his control just trying to buy time? And by the looks of it, it is. You've got a Broodmother who's still trying to run off the Doom. Seneko doesn't have ultimate. Enchantress doesn't really have a lot more to give unless she can hide in the tree line. And Faceless Void is kind of out without a Chronosphere. So you want to be able to escape. So General, you can say, jumping in, looking to sacrifice himself to keep Vega around. So that'll probably be the storyline I would go here, where you say, Wall stopped them up. Something else needed to be sacrificed from Na'Vi to help them get out with a victory here. And you put your tankiest hero who potentially can survive into that position. General gets the hoof stomp. And that small turn. That small turn from Dendi. I'd love to go back a fraction of a second, but he turns and looks towards the Morphling and the Doombringer. Now, we could bring up things like, it's easier when you're slower like this. You can bring up things like detection. The Sentry Ward at the back line, they have something they can actually fight with here, Na'Vi, as far as the vision goes. They don't see Slayer, but they at least see Morphling, still protected by Moonlight Shadow, is Doom. So, Dendi wants to fight. He feels he can probably do it. He still has his BKB, but needs the Doom to wear off. So, you can then start to switch it a little bit more towards the Na'Vi storyline. Dendi thinks about fighting. Just that one small phrase puts it in your mind of like, can Na'Vi actually do this? Move in the fight. They continue to evade. Arrow hits the Faceless Void. He's out of the fight at the moment, but this is a side story. And this is what, like, casting a good team fight is what it's all about. Understanding the storyline, which is actually going to matter. So Faceless Void is down for probably 4 seconds worth of a stun. But is he really the focus? The focus is not that. It's Enchantress coming back in with regeneration, working with General who's getting the stun, and a Broodmother who's waiting for Doom to tick off before Dendi can then be a beast. So in this scenario, General is my side story I'd focus on. Dendy is my primary story. Doom wearing off and him fighting. This is what I want to see. Side story from Vega. The fact that Morphling used his shotgun on the Faceless Void. Arrow from Mirana used on the Faceless Void. But all these abilities are down when Dendy's getting ready to fight. They turn. They fight. Na'Vi bear down on the Morphling. They're focusing again. We go back to the storyline that we were going with before, which is Morphling is the primary focus of Na'Vi. If he buys back, it's a dieback. So even then, there's more pressure. It's more critical that he lives through this engagement. And at the same time as he's dropping low, Doom is worn off. This is fight time. Attention focuses on Morphling. He's in too deep. Faceless Void dies. Sideline. The real you, bigger one. He lives. He survives. But he has nothing more to give in this fight. So Mirana sacrifices for the overextension of Vega. And General looks to punish. Slayer can't do much more. Like, this is distraction. So you still want to try and follow the storyline of the Morphling, who is getting out. And then you can come back to it. So he's regenerating. Slayer is distraction for the moment. The swap save. Like, it's more of just like that, okay, well, Jack gave his life for her kind of moment. And that's kind of it. Vega go back into their defense, and Na'Vi want to walk away. At that moment, you could actually do that. Like, Na'Vi looked like they wanted to get out. And then you get your pop surprise. So pop surprises is okay when it's around the focal point you've already had. If you try and talk about something and you just switch it when you weren't even talking about that hero before. So Dendy, the Doom is wearing off him. He's going to actually remain alive. He turns to fight to start with. And, oh my god, like, Na'Vi, you're actually bringing the Morphling down. Vega are on the retreat. Na'Vi, maybe they don't want to go much more into this. Dendy's jumped in! Boom. There you go. Because you've already been talking about Dendy. You're not just throwing a bucket of cold ice water on somebody. You're actually working them into the team fight. And then Dendy moves forward, starts his attack, kill on Slayer, justification for the jump, Morphling trying to actually control, and then Roger harasses them out. Hoof stomp in, so Na'Vi, they're deep, they're committed, they bring General into the fight. But then, your next point. Has Na'Vi gone too far? You're in very deep. General, Seneko, Dendy, they're all appearing low in their bars. Everyone will see this. Roger, low on mana. Many things that you can talk about which says that Na'Vi is in too far. Just to keep going with the storyline. And that's what Teamfight is all about, is justification for the storyline that you have chosen. So your supporting comments are all meant to go around that. So we move in deeper. And here comes Slayer. Morphling. Still surviving. Potentially you can talk about the Thunderstrike, but a good caster would probably understand the fact that he is going to survive no matter what. So he moves back to regen. Vega pick up the pieces with the Doom. And they're leaving. This is when you wind down. So a team fight has happened. Most of your critical cores that you've had your storylines based around are now getting out. So Broodmother is leaving, Morphling's gone back to base, your Centaur control is gone, your Faceless Void is dead, so you don't have that to work with, Marauder is down. This fight is coming to a close. Everyone walks away, the wall comes up, and you give a gentle letdown at the end. Both teams are going back to lick their wounds. A phrase I use a lot. You find a nice exit way out of the team fight. And that's your team fight. Now, I went through each individual thing about talking about how to cast a team fight, and now you're going to do this all in real time. Like, we were going slow, we were pausing, we were looking at these things. Your eyes have to move quickly, and you have to decide and actually go with that storyline. Now, you won't always get it right. Like, when you do moments like this, yeah, you're going to get it right, because we were able to see slowly what it is. This is why Purge's segments are so good, because he's able to go back, look at the fight, and say, this was important at this time. You, as a play-by-play, have to move very, very quickly and decide what's the critical moment, which is why things like Enigma Black Hole is such a great thing for me, and I get excited about that, because team fights which orientate around a big AoE control ability are really, really easy to cast. Because you start with that, and then you look at your side stories to then support the team fight. Too far, it's down, what's going to come back? Another big AoE ability. And these make for the most exciting fights. And you have to understand the rhythm of this as well. So you understand going into the fights, and you'll understand what the fights look like anyway when the draft happens. Who's going to be the critical heroes in each of the fights? Who are the unsung heroes that you want to actually sing a song about? These are the things that you try and combine together to create a fantastic teamfight call. Remember the rhythm. Don't just jerk from one point to another. Don't call out as well, this person kills this person kills this person. If you do that, in my mind, you're a shit commentator. What you need to do is focus on what matters, what is critical. I don't have to describe who kills what. I want to reference it, but it's a side story. It's not your primary story. You want to talk about the effect of death. You want to talk about the effect of ability. This is what makes you a good caster, because this tells you and gives the viewer a perspective of what is actually going down, and not just a, well, you know what, we watched something and I understand the people died. I understood that fight, and I understood what was critical, what went wrong, what went right, and how it all ended. That is a good team fight.